Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. Today's video is going to be another one brand testing video, so I'm going to be testing out a full face of Missguided's new makeup range. I've watched a fair few testing videos of this from other YouTubers and I feel like I've heard a lot of positive things about their makeup, so obviously I had to try it for myself. So I've got pretty much a full face. The only thing that I don't have is any like eyeshadow products or anything like that. So I'll probably just use like my bronzer and highlighter to do a little bit of something on my eyes, but it's just going to be quite a sort of basic makeup look today. As per usual though, I'm going to start out with concealer and just test this on my eye area on bare skin with no foundation. So the concealer is the Missguided Meet Your Match liquid concealer. It looks like this. That's what the bottle looks like. I obviously got this in the lightest shade, which is 100. Okay, so I've just looked it up. They have 10 shades of a concealer, so it's not really the best shade range, to be honest. There definitely could be more variety there. It's got this sort of doe foot, which I quite like. So I'm just going to pop this on one under eye and eyelid, and I'm just going to compare it with a bare eye and see what the coverage is like. The shade does look pretty fair, to be honest. I feel like that's actually a pretty good colour match. So that's the concealer applied on one eye and eyelid, so I'm going to look up and down just so you can see it properly. Okay, so I wouldn't describe this as full coverage. I mean, as you can see, it has obviously made quite a bit of a difference, but I can still see my veins coming through quite a bit, and I can still see like a little bit of sort of purple discoloration under my eyes, so I wouldn't describe it as a full coverage concealer. The formula's pretty nice, it blends out nicely. I would say it's sort of like semi-matte kind of formula. I do like the finish, and the coverage is okay, like it's a medium coverage. It obviously does cover like reasonably well. It's just not a full coverage concealer, so I'm liking it. I'm not loving it. I generally do prefer a more full coverage concealer personally, but it's definitely not bad. I think if you are more into like if you're more into like a more sort of medium coverage concealer, then I think you probably would quite like it. As I said, I don't have any like eyeshadow or anything, so I'm just going to wipe this off my eye and we're just going to go straight onto base makeup. Okay, so next we're going to move on to foundation. So this is their Meet Your Match Demi Matte Foundation, and again I got it in the lightest shade, which 01 is the lightest shade. This is what it looks like. Pretty similar shade to the concealer. It does actually look quite fair, to be honest, so I think that might be a good colour match, maybe even a little bit pale. Regardless, I am just going to go ahead and apply this all over my face. Okay, so that is the foundation applied. I have to say I'm really quite liking the finish of it. I feel like I just really like how it looks on the skin, how it sits on the skin. I'd probably describe it more as like a medium coverage. It's definitely not covered my breakouts that well. But once my skin is cleared up a bit, it probably would look a little bit more coverage, but because I've got like quite a lot of breakouts at the moment, yeah, it's definitely sort of like a light medium coverage. It's definitely not a full coverage foundation, but I do really like the finish of it on the skin. I definitely think like demi matte is a good description. It definitely is a sort of semi matte foundation. It doesn't look too oily or too dewy, but then it definitely isn't like really dry or anything. It's quite a hydrating foundation, so I am liking the finish. I like how it looks on the skin. It's quite like natural looking, quite skin looking. I am quite liking it, but I think I would prefer it to have a bit more coverage just because of the current situation on my face. The finish is really nice though, and it is a little bit pale for me actually. Okay, so we're going to go back to the concealer, and I'm just going to add this on my eyes, on my nose, on all of my blemishes, and hopefully we can bump up the coverage a little bit more. That concealer blends out really nicely over the top of the foundation. It's definitely given more coverage, but again, my breakouts are they're still there. They're definitely minimized a bit more, But yeah, it's definitely not a full coverage base, it's more of a medium coverage base. And that's the thing, if my skin was clearer than it is at the moment, I probably would like this a lot more, but just because my skin's a nightmare at the moment because of masks, I just would prefer a little bit more coverage. But I think in terms of the finish, it looks really nice on the skin. I actually do really like the look of the foundation and the concealer together. For setting powder, I have the Matte Trick Radiant Mattifying Powder, which is a pressed powder. I believe it only comes in one shade, so I don't know if that means it's meant to be like translucent. It looks like that. It's not like a completely white translucent. It is sort of a tiny bit of like a, I would say, yellowy kind of tint to it. Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical that this would work on all skin tones, but I don't know, maybe it would. Generally, I do like to use a loose powder under the eyes, but I will give this a go all over the face. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and use some brushes and set the whole of my face down. Okay, so I think the powder's done a pretty decent job. Everything is mattified. Like, I can sort of see the powderiness on my skin a bit, but sometimes powders do need a little bit of time to kind of settle down a bit. But it's mattified everything really well. The finish is pretty nice. There's no weird dry patches, and I can't see any separation under my eyes as of yet, but sometimes it does take a while. Now, I can't imagine that that would be particularly translucent though. I have a feeling that this probably wouldn't work for every skin tone. Okay, so moving on to cheeks, we have one of their Instant Vacay Bronze Duo powders. This one's in the shade Light. I think there was like a light and a medium one. It has two sides to this, so I feel like this side here looks like a really good like bronzer shade for pale skin, but this one looks a bit deep, so I don't know whether to just sort of focus on that side or if I should kind of mix my brush in both of the shades, or I don't really know. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to just swirl my brush round in both of the shades. I feel like it would have been better if they just came out with this product with just one shade for the whole pan and just had more of the bronzers. But I'm just going to apply this in my cheeks, on my forehead, etc, etc. Both shades mixed together do work. I do think it has worked pretty good. It doesn't look too dark, too muddy. It's quite like a golden sort of toned bronzer. It's blended out nicely. It's quite subtle, buildable sort of pigmentation. I think that it is good, but I do feel like I would just more so gravitate towards this side. So I feel like I would have preferred if they just had like a one shade bronzer instead of this sort of double thing. It's a bit, I don't know, I just don't think it's the best idea. They did have some blushes, but I just didn't really fancy one, so we're going to move on to a highlighter. This is their High Lit Highlighting Powder, and I got mine in the shade Glowing Out Out. I think there was about 4 different shades of this highlighter. Just like, why can they have 4 shades of their highlighter, but they can't just do 4 separate shades of their bronzer? What the shade looks like is quite an icy white colour, a little bit of a gold hue in there as well. The texture is really like velvety and soft, which is really nice. I like that. It seems like it's going to be pretty pigmented. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this in all my highlight spots. I quite like that. It's really pigmented. I love the texture. It's one of those highlighters that it doesn't pick up on your texture too badly. It's quite like a soft diffuse sort of highlighter, which I really like, and I know a lot of people do struggle with highlighters sort of bringing attention to their texture, and I don't feel like this one does it too badly. So it does have a lot of kickback though. It is quite a messy highlighter, but I actually really quite like that. It's a really stunning highlighter actually, and I love how like sort of soft and diffused it is on the skin, and the shade works pretty good for my pale skin, but obviously they do have 3 other shades that I think are deeper. Okay, so moving on to brows now. I did get one of their tinted gels, and I also got one of their micro brow pencil. So I'm going to start off with the gel. So this is called the Right Now Brow Thickening Brow Gel, and mine is in the shade Dark. It's got quite a small wand, which I like. The colour is quite dark. I don't know if that might not be the best shade for me. I'm just going to tap this on the back of my hand and see how much excess there is. It's like a sort of chocolate fudge kind of colour. I'm just not 100% sure this is the best colour for my brows right now. It's quite a bit of excess. That's not the best. But now that I've tapped that off, let's just brush this through the brows. Okay, so it came out alright on this brow because I did that one second, so there was less product on the brush, but it's come out a little bit of a mess on this brow, to be honest. I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of that gel. It's a little bit harsh, I feel, and a little bit splodgy. I'm not hating it, like it's not done an awful job or anything, but I feel like I found a lot of pretty good brow gels recently, and I don't feel like this one is quite as good as those. It's not done a bad job though. It's just there's a lot of excess on the wand, and the colour isn't actually too bad now that it is on the brows. I did worry about that, but I feel like once it's on the brows it doesn't look too bad. It's not too dissimilar to my actual brow hair. So I've kind of got mixed thoughts on this. It's not bad, but I just feel like I've got a lot of brow gels that I prefer over this. It is a little bit harsh. Okay, so to define those brows a little bit more, we've got the Oh Hey Brow Micro Precision Pencil, and I think this is in the shade, yeah, it's in the shade Dark as well. And it's just your standard micro brow pencil with spoolie on one end and twisty up bit here. So I'm just going to sort of define my arch a little bit more with this. Okay, the pencil's done an okay job. Obviously I can't really tell how much I like this just on that. I will need to test it out by filling in my whole brow with it. Overall I don't think the eyebrows look too bad. They're okay. They're not bad. They're not my favourite brow products I've tried recently. But yeah. I have eyebrows. Next I have a kohl eyeliner. This is their Slick Flick Waterproof Gel Eyeliner, and it's in the shade Blackout. They did have it in a few other colours, but I wanted a black one to use in the waterline. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this in my top and bottom waterlines. Okay, so somehow I managed to accidentally get it up here. I'm not quite sure how I did that, but it's applied pretty nice, quite creamy. The pigmentation is pretty good, as you can see. I've not really got much to complain about. It's a pretty good black eyeliner, but I need to get rid of this because that looks like a mess. I go back to this bronzer and just do a little bit of something with it on my eyes, so a little bit of eyeshadow, I guess. Let's see where this goes. And I'm going to use a bit of the highlighter on my eyes as well. Okay, so next we're moving on to mascara. I've got the Real Thick Lash Mega Volume Mascara. I think they had two mascaras. They had this one and then like a lengthening one. I honestly had no idea which one to go for, so I just went for the volumizing one. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to my top and bottom lashes. I have curled my lashes beforehand. So that is the eyelashes. I actually think it's done a pretty good job. There's definitely quite a lot of volume and a lot of thickness there. I think that's actually a pretty good mascara. I'm quite impressed with that actually. Yeah, I like that. So the last thing I've got to try out is a lipstick. So this is their Gimme Lip matte lipstick, and it's in the shade 03 Note to Self, which, surprise, surprise, is like a brownie nude, which is always what I go for. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to the lips. I don't know if it's because I had a little bit of lip balm underneath, but it is more sort of like a semi-matte kind of lipstick. Like it's sort of matte, but it's like a little bit of sort of slipperiness to it. But I actually quite like it. The shade's really nice. It's not like really oily and really shiny or anything, so yeah, that's not actually a bad lipstick. I quite like that. Okay, so I think that is everything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up all of the mascara mess I've made and sort my hair out. I'll be back. Okay, so we're back with the finished look. So in conclusion, okay, so some of my favourite products that I've tried today would probably be the mascara, the eyeliner pencil, the bronzer and the highlighter. The lipstick was pretty good. The only things I'm not so sure about are the brow products, really. Like, I don't think they've done a terrible job or anything. I just feel like I've tried like more like natural, less pigmented ones recently. But again, I still need to try that brow pencil out on its own. I can't fully judge that one yet. I do like the foundation and the concealer. I just wish they had a little bit more coverage. That's my only complaint. But I do really like the finish of both of them on the skin. And the setting powder, like again, I kind of like it, but I do feel like it looks a bit powdery on the face. I don't feel like it's the most smoothing powder I've tried. And as I said, sometimes I feel like the powdery residue sort of disappears, but I still feel like it looks a little bit powdery, and I put it on quite a while ago now. Overall though, I do feel like Missguided does do some pretty good makeup. I'm glad that I did try it. I do feel that there is potentially some new favourites in here. All of these products are going to be in my rotation now, and I'm going to do a updated makeup review on these, as well as all of the products I've tried in my most recent testing videos. So that will be my February-March updated makeup review, so that will be out in the spring at some point. Who knows how long it's going to take me to get to that. So that was my thoughts on Missguided's makeup range. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.